I want to say that since I met the Lord 22 years ago, I always believed the Lord was going to come back in a new moon, in the 17th of the month, and on the third day. I'm going to give you the biblical verses to back me up on that. The new moon, it says on Psalm 81:3, blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the appointed time. And the new moon, it's also in 1 Samuel chapter 20 is where it says that David told Jonathan, the king wants to kill me, today's the new moon, I'm going to be here in the field for 3 days, and tell me if the king wants to kill me or not. I'll be here waiting for 3 days. And on the third day, Jonathan came back and told David, the king definitely wants to kill you. And that conversation started by David saying, I will go, you will go in front of the king, and the king will ask you for me because my seat, I will be missing in my seat. In other words, on the third day of the blue moon, of a new moon, we will be missing. David was a symbolism of the church. Also, I thought it was the 17th of the month. That this event will happen on the 17th of the month because the Ark of Noah took place on the 17th of the month. It rested on the 17th of the month. The Lord resurrected on the 17th of the month, and they crossed the Red Sea on the 17th of the month. And I also thought that it was going to be on the third day of a new moon, a third day of the month. And I'm going to give you enough biblical verses for it. I think I want to start by saying that I found out that internationally, the first day of the week is Monday, and not Sunday as supposed in Israel in the past. And the Lord gave me understanding Sunday, the sun. Was Israel. Israel rejected the Lord, so it was given to that privilege to the Monday, the moon. And Monday means the day of the moon. That's what Monday means, the day of the moon. And the moon is, in the Bible, symbolically is the church of the Lord. And I'm going to show you enough verses for that. And the day that I want to tell you is January 30th. January 30th is a Monday, and the Bible also talks about the 30th of the month, about 30 days in the book of Esther, chapter 4, verse 11. And I'm going to start with this. I'm going to do some reading. And let me start first with Genesis. To see that the Lord does use the moon. I always thought that the Lord could not, rapture us just in any day of the month, because He gave Himself. And I'm going to read this. The moon, the sun, the stars, 4 signs, and it's in Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. Okay, and it says, "And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days and years." Now, for signs, even the Lord Jesus Himself had the Star of Bethlehem as a sign. And we have had the 4 blood moons in Passover Tabernacles in 4 years in a row. For example, 1949, 1950, when the birth of Israel, also 1967, 1968, on the 6-day war, and 2014, 2015, when the end times begun, the 2300 days begun. And so, for seasons, what season? The season of the rapture. For days, what day? The day of the rapture, and so forth. And I'm going to give you enough information on this. For example, let's start with the third day. to see what happened on the third day in the Bible that could symbolize the rapture. In Genesis, chapter 22, verse 4 says, "Then on the third day Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off." He lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. And that is the promised land to us. And in Genesis 31:22, "And it was told Laban on the third day that Jacob was fled." Jacob abandoned Laban, a type of the world, Jacob, a type of the church, in this case, abandoned Laban on the third day. In Exodus 19:11, "And be ready against the third day, for the third day the Lord will come down in the sight of all people upon Mount Sinai." And I'm gonna stop right here. I want to say that January 30th is the 17th of the month in the Julian calendar, and it's the 3rd of the month in the Jewish calendar. And remember, the Julian calendar was the calendar in function when Jesus came, as well as the Jewish calendar. So that this Gregorian calendar that we use now is in effect doesn't mean that the other two are not in effect, because the Julian calendar is the one that was being used in the world when Jesus came. So it is the 30th of the month in a new moon, which is a Monday. It is the 17th of the month in the Julian calendar, and it's the 3rd of the month. And I'm going to go step by step, but you're going to get the whole picture. It's going to get really interesting. And that there, okay, it says in Exodus 19:16, "And it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings, and a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled." Okay, that's going to happen the day of the rapture. The cloud is going to come in. We're going to be listening to the trumpets, and everybody's going to tremble that is left behind. In 1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 5, "And David said unto Jonathan, Behold, tomorrow is the new moon, and I should not fail to sit with the king at meat. But let me go, that I may hide myself in the field unto the third day at even." Till the third day. Now in 2 Kings chapter 20, verse 5, it says, "Turn again and tell Hezekiah, the captain of my people, Thus says the Lord, the God of David, thy father, I have heard thy prayer. I have seen thy tears. Behold, I will heal thee on the third day. Thou shalt go up unto the house of the Lord." On what day we shall go up unto the house of the Lord? On the third day. 2 Kings chapter 20, verse 8. "And Hezekiah said unto Isaiah, What shall be the sign that the Lord will heal me, and that I shall go up into the house of the Lord the third day?" You see, you're getting it? We should go up. That's why I believed all my life that I was going to go up to the house of the Lord on the third day. Okay? I'm going to give you the symbolism of the church compared in the Bible to the moon, or the moon to the church. In Psalm 72, verse 7, it says, "In his days shall the righteous flourish, an abundance of peace as long as the moon endureth." In other words, when the moon is gone, there will be no peace, and the righteous will not flourish. In Psalm 89:3 or 37, Psalm 89:37, "It shall be established forever as the moon and as a faithful witness in heaven." The church is going to heaven and it's going to be a faithful witness as the moon. Songs of Solomon. "Who is that looketh forth as the morning, fair as the moon, Who is that looketh forth as the morning, fair as the moon, clear as the sun, and terrible as an army with banners? That's a church, an army with banner that looks like the moon.